Hey y'all, I'm Catherine Nostine and I'm doing a film analysis on Little Big Man. It was directed by Arthur Penn, and there are a lot of different elements about it that make it really fun and cool to talk about. So, first of all, Little Big Man is recognized as a picaresque film. And I didn't know exactly what that meant, so I looked up on dictionary.com, and it is pertaining to, characteristic of, or characterized by a form of prose fiction originally developed in Spain, in which the adventures of an engagingly roguish hero are described in a series of usually humorous or satiric episodes that often depict in realistic detail the everyday life of the common people. So, I kind of looked further into that, and I found a blog on WordPress called The Picaresque Desk, and they separated it into 7 categories. And while I was seeing that, I recognized that there was a lot of similarities between Jack Crabbe, who's the main character in Little Big Man, and Forrest Gump. So, the first thing that they said goes into a picaresque film is it is told in an autobiographical account, and that is Jack Crabbe. He is 121 years old in the film as he is telling the story of his life. And the second element is the main character is in a low social class or lowly sort of character. So that kind of goes back to Jack Crabbe and both Forrest Gump. The third element is there is no theoretical plot, and it is a bunch of loosely connected adventures, which is definitely Jack Crabbe in this case. He goes from being an Indian to a cowboy to a gunman to an Indian and all over the place the entire movie. The fourth thing says that there's little development in the main character. He basically stays the same. He's not very dynamic. Number 5 is there's realistic and plain language throughout. Number 6 is it is a satirical story. So Little Big Man has a lot of different elements to it that are kind of poking fun at different things in society the whole film. And the last thing is the main character in picturesque films seems a little criminal-like, and didn't see that so much, but maybe you can compare it when he is the drunken guy in the film, or when he's the gunman. It's kind of criminal-like behavior. The outlaws are pretty criminal. And those ideas were all developed by Thrall and Hibbard. The second big element of Little Big Man is that it's considered a Western film, Western genre film. And our book defines genre as the categorization of narrative films by the stories they tell and the ways they tell them. So genres are made up of 6 conventions, and not sure that Little Big Man really fits all 6 of those conventions to make it a Western film, but it can fit into most of them. So the first convention is the setting. So most Western films are set in saloons or like the Wild West, the frontier. They have all these like deserty settings, and that was definitely true in Little Big Man. So here is a scene of Jack Crabbe's first saloon entrance. And then the second element is presentation style. So Westerns are known for having the long pans of the frontier and wild angle shots of all those things. And this is just one example at the very end of the film when Jack and his Indian grandfather are walking back to their village, and it pans over all of their wooded area around them. The next is character types, and Westerns have like Indians and cowboys and outlaws, and different characters of that sort that Jack really plays into, and they have prostitutes as the women characters, but Jack kind of plays into every single one of those character types. So he's the Indian for half of the film, and then he's the gunman in half the film with the mysterious outlaw. He's the high social class guy, and this is in the prostitute's house. And he even plays the town drunk for part of the film. So different character types on that. But really, as far as like other two elements of the story formula and the themes go, Little Big Man kind of goes off the cuff there. The setting really relates back to typical Western films, but the mix match of character types and the picaresqueness of the formula makes it kind of not so Western. It gives it a lot of different genres that play into it. So some of the themes that they include are really refer back to the social situations that were going around when the film was made in the 1970s. So they talk a lot about the Native American civil rights and fighting for the Native Americans, which really relates to the civil rights movement that was happening in the 70s. And then another one is Vietnam was so big then and a really big social situation. And that they reference the Civil War in the film a lot with the generals, and it's kind of funny how they do. Vietnam was such a big situation in society and caused a lot of ruckus, and so did the Civil War with Jack Crab. And then finally, sexuality was a big social issue back then, causing a lot of controversy, and there was even a homosexual Indian, and his name was Little Horse. And there he is hitting on Little Big Man in the film. So yes, Little Big Man is a Western film and has a lot of Western elements, but I think that you could argue that there's no, like, they didn't limit themselves to just Western film conventions. It includes satire and it includes current events of the 1970s. So I kind of think that it's like a Belmont student almost, you know. It's its own person and a big sea of cowboys.